I would like to ask all the listeners, to all the speakers actually, to keep their mics on mute. This is going to be a roundtable format where I guess we're going to start with Kurt in that order, and then it's going to go to Mauricio, and then Goblins, and so on and so forth. There's going to be a question, followed by you guys' response, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to try to put a cap on the thoughts, but let's try to keep at least each question. I tried to say somewhere between 5 minutes because they're kind of packed and everything. And but at the same time, feel free to do your thing also. We never know how how things turn out and everything. So with no further ado, I'm gonna officially ask the first question right now. Okay. Awesome. With the rise of central bank digital currencies, how will cryptocurrency compete and differentiate itself in the broader digital cryptocurrency landscape? Speaker Kurt,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you perfectly. And if you would like for me to repeat the question, please ask.
No, I got
also.
it.
Awesome. How's it going, brother?
It's going great. How's it going over there?
I'm doing well. Could you give a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure, but first I gotta say I love your new clay.
Oh, thank you. I was torn between the clay and the space and everything. I really was.
I feel like that's the Cardano OG decision: clay or space bud. You sit there going, but eventually you get both. But yeah,
I was torn. I just got my mind on that V2. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get my. I want that V2 also.
No,
all right.
I'm hanging on some space buds too, and I know what's gonna happen. One day I'm gonna hit refresh, and they're gonna be 10,000 ADA a piece, and I'm gonna be like, God damn it! like that's what's going to happen.
All right.
All right. Now onto the very important matter of how it is that cryptocurrencies are going to compete with central bank digital currencies. I'm going to tell you, they are not going to compete. That is not the world that we're facing. What we're seeing is the depth of cash, the greenback. Like what we have in the US dollar as a global currency standard is essentially means that if you have a dollar that you got from anybody, you can spend it anywhere, no problem. The thing about Web3 is, forgetting the dollar and competitions between nations, cash has lost. The finality of cash has ended. And when I say that, that's one of the reasons I'm so obsessed with NFTs. NFTs represent how, if I have a dollar and I want to buy an NFT, there's no force on earth that can bring it to me. The finality of crypto is the only thing that can bring you your NFT right away. And it therefore outstrips all the other currencies as long as this is a real product. That's why people really hate NFTs. So honestly, the major thing that it can do to compete is make very potent, culturally significant NFTs because governments can't do it if they wanted to. So that's my position.
Excellent point.
That was awesome. That was awesome, bro. Just to let you guys know also, I like to record the spaces also and translate them into YouTube format. One thing I notice about these things is every time I jump on these Twitter spaces, I learn the most because you're knee deep in the community. There's no web page or anything that could get you this deep in the community. And then I wake up the next day and go on the person's page who hosted the space, and then it's not there because they didn't record it and everything. So we really anybody who's doing these spaces and everything, let's just try to preserve that media and everything, because if anybody's looking to get involved in onboarding, this is going to be the way. And we got to hit YouTube with this also. It can't just be held. This can't just be bottled up in a Twitter space. It can't. It's too precious. Mauricio, you will be up next with your answer.
Same question. So ultimately, decentralization is really the key. Central bank digital currencies could potentially enslave humanity like they have done in China and other countries. They're going to try to roll it out as a gift, like the other dude was saying, like an airdrop or something like that, where like, oh, this is for your benefit, this or that. But, it's just remittance or money transfer could be done so many different ways. It's really decentralization, owning of an asset is the real thing. your private keys, on your crypto, the whole nine is, that's a real decentralization. That's where it starts. So like, I'll give you an example. COVID exposed a lot of different things. A lot of people say, real estate is a great way to build wealth. I'm a believer in it. But at one point, I had a squatter living in my house. That no longer was my asset. The state seized my asset.
Yo, Piston Goblins, man. What's up, Goblins? How's it?
What's
Good,
up,
man?
Ordinals.
Ultimately,
I'm sorry. Could you mute yourself for 1 second, and we're going to show love and salutations in a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good, fam. It's all good.
It's all good, bro. So ultimately, it's really the ownership, similar to NFTs. Like you own the asset. It's real ownership. Now, the central bank digital currencies. Another example: if you've done a transaction for a house or something, like they're wiring you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it's a nerve-wracking fucking experience waiting for your fucking money. Like, it's insane, right? So all these things are like you're depending on a third party, some lady, you have to give them a pin. It's like almost like you're giving them a private key. So, ultimately, central bank digital currencies are going to be a thing. It's already happening. They're going to roll it out. Will people adopt it versus not using cash, coins, silver, crypto, whatever it may be? It's going to be a way to interact. I think they just announced something for the Fed now. I don't know if you guys looked into that, but the Federal Reserve already said Fed now is going to be released. They're already testing it in the New York Federal Reserve, all these other chapters. They're going to roll it out. It's just a matter of time. How they're going to package it for the average American to be like, hey, it's probably going to be a stimulus. So another stimmy's coming via the Federal Reserve, via probably the Fed now.
To elaborate on the Fed now, I believe that is the federal government version of letting depositors be able to withdraw their money 24/7 whenever they want.
Yes.
I can't confirm this, but I also heard that if the Fed's the product is there and is fully ready, but they've been holding it back. But if they were to put it out now, it will probably increase the bank runs that's happening with the small banks within the country. So they will be doing more harm than help. And another alternative that I heard also was that they were basically going to kill off the altcoins, because that's the only way that they can really implement something like that. It would have to be with the death of, if not stable coins, they're coming after basically anything that's not Bitcoin.
So Operation Chokehold was released a few weeks ago, right? So their main objective is to disrupt the on-ramps, basically the banks that are crypto-friendly, and the off-ramps for you to cash out into just regular dollars. If they make it very hard, everything quote-unquote is security, then only Bitcoin is cleared. That means Cardano, Ethereum, Polkadot, whatever else is not. Well, Polkadot, they quote-unquote morphed into no longer, it's just software now. But essentially, Bitcoin's the only one that is, by the SEC or Gary Gensler's view, not labeled as security. I mean, that's major news. They're trying to disrupt people, scare them out, flood them out, whatever you want to say. I mean, ultimately, the average person's probably shitting bricks, let alone with the regular banking. But it's the fractional reserve where, Silicon Valley Bank, the issue is that businesses have their reserves in the bank. Over 250,000 is not secured or insured. That means if you have $10 million in the bank, only $250 is secure.
I want you to hold that thought, because we're going to get into that momentarily, actually. Before I go on to the next speaker, can you give a brief introduction of yourself?
For me?
Yes, of course.
I would like to say I am a Web2 web developer. I've been I own a SEO company, website development, graphic design, branding. I've been doing it for probably 17 years. I own a couple other businesses, some light construction stuff, insurance company, and then I got into crypto just from being a nerd. I was a music producer for the longest time. Just always, fucked around with software. And then I got into Ethereum after my first run at Bitcoin. Probably my first Bitcoin was $49. I sold it thinking I was a genius at $600. And then I had hired a sales rep. He came into my office and he was like, "Hey man, have you heard of this Ethereum thing?" I was like, no, this Bitcoin shit's over, bro. This was like 2016-ish, 2017-ish. And he told me about Ethereum. I looked into it. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Because I thought, it was only Litecoin, And then I got into like balls deep into Ethereum back then. And then now I'm into mostly the Polkadot ecosystem. I'm learning Rust. And then I dabbled with Solidity as just, a hobby. Moonbeam Space too is another one of my, programming stuff I'm learning. Just basically Solidity on dot. And I'm pretty bullish. I've been holding Cardano too for a very long time. I bought it at the COVID dip. It was like 0.028 something under 3 cents.
All right,
I just
brother.
stake it. That's pretty much. I just stake it.
I'm gonna have to get to the next speaker. Much love, Mauricio. We know each other on a personal note. He's actually been a mentor of mine, and I love you, bro.
Love you too. Yeah.
Till we get to the next one, Bitcoin. Take the stage, Goblin. Oh, sorry, Goblin. I'm sorry that such a short notice, I wasn't able to give you the question list. So I'm sorry if these questions is packed. Okay, I just wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, sure. I just want to talk on something a little bit different and hear guys' thoughts on like USDT and why I believe it's really risky to own it, and mainly because we don't know how much money is in it and how much is backing the coin. So I just want to hear your thoughts on that topic.
I got you, brother, and we will get to that shortly. I got you. Josh?
Yeah, echoing a lot of the similar sentiments that other people have expressed. CBDCs, they're not going to come in and try to compete with cryptocurrency. They're going to come in and they'll give themselves their own regulatory priority. They will modify legalities in a way that benefits them, that favors more centralized operations versus decentralized operations. The thing is, though, with the way that Bitcoin's headed, and people that are critical of the government, you can really only take one of two routes. Either the government is incompetent, stupid, and evil. They can be all those three things at the same time. Or they're evil geniuses that will take over the world. And I tend to lean more towards the former portion of that. I think that they're incompetent. I think that they don't understand a lot of the things that they claim to understand, and they do act selfishly. They are self-motivated. So in their attempt to get CBDCs into the blockchain ecosystem, I think it will be successful. People will trust that because it's the government, and they'll make sure that the law is formed in their own way. But ultimately, that's going to be how they're going to enter the space. I think is they're going to come at it and they're going to rig the game to favor themselves and make sure that they're the dominant force in the space. But you can't stop Bitcoin. You can't stop crypto. It's already a boulder rolling down the hill, and it's going. It's happening.
It's definitely going, and it's definitely happening. Kurt, I'm gonna let you take the floor for 1 minute because we also have to let Son of a Bitcoin get his take, and then we can continue on to the next question. The reason that I said you can get 1 minute during this because I want that to be the format going on. If somebody have their hand up, we can let you have at least a minute to speak, and then we're gonna have the ordinal continue.
That's perfect, man, because it's exactly what I want. It's just a point of clarity that whenever I'm in these formats, whenever I'm watching YouTube, there's an asymmetry of knowledge for sure, mostly in favor of people working crypto and in Web3, because we know a lot of tricks that the other folks simply don't. But legally speaking, there's a lot of catching up we all need to do. So here's a point of clarity. I'm not a lawyer. It's not legal advice, but that I know a lot of lawyers. I come from a lot of lawyers. This idea that newer law is better is not real. This is the opposite of legalism. In legalism, the older the law, the better, right? Like they passed a law like last year to give Congress a raise. That law does not matter. The laws that are old matter, like the 10 Commandments. The older the law, the better. So we get hung up in this world, and I know there's only a couple of us here, but we're the vanguard. We get hung up on stuff like that, we will lose. And so it's important to remember that the 10th Amendment says if it's not illegal, it's our right. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's all.
Got you. All right, son of a Bitcoin, center stage.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Son of a Bitcoin here. I'm also a web developer. A little bit more new in the web development space. Just starting to I just finished boot camp and I'm just starting to learn how to integrate into Web3 stuff. So pretty fun, pretty cool, interesting stuff. I'm right on the same page with you guys. Like, I don't see I don't see it really being a competition. I think they're definitely gonna try to restrict people from cryptocurrencies in a funny way. Who knows exactly what could happen? But right now, I think it's a good time to just DCA, try to get as much of it as you can, because who knows? Maybe down the road it might not be so easy to get your hands on some of these cryptos. So interesting. I totally almost didn't really think about that. There's a possibility where we might not be able to get our hands if they can't kill it, but they can choke us off from it. Isn't that something? They did it with gold, and they've done it before. They've tried to kind of chokehold certain assets before in hard times, and I definitely think it could be a potential situation.
All right. Before we get to the next question, are you finished? I'm sorry, son of a Bitcoin. Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
All right, just making sure. Alpha Ordinal, I'm going to make you a co-host so you can try to invite Bitcoin bots, because I've been trying to invite him and it hasn't been working. I'm working on it, Bitcoin bots. All right, for the next question, what are the potential consequences of government attempts to regulate or ban cryptocurrency, both for the industry and for individual users? If you would like for me to repeat the question, just please let me know before you begin to speak. Kirk, take the floor.
Thanks. So I have a little insight into this, and you all could have it too, because Gary Gensler's course on blockchain that he did in 2019 is still on YouTube. I've been through 3 classes of it, and it's told me a lot, and he's sticking to his word. So what I'll say is this: he doesn't believe what he's doing is regulation by enforcement. These guys don't see this regulatory process that way. What they're seeing is you're allowed to do whatever you want, as you can tell by all of us being here without being in a speakeasy or anybody looking out the door being like the fuzz is coming. But if you do something he can enforce against, that means you violated the law. And then you put it in front of a judge and you find out whether or not that's true. Ultimately, that's what this will all end up being. It's going to end up being a Supreme Court case. And I don't know what that's going to look like. There's too many other things happening in the world and in the country to know exactly what will happen. What should happen maybe is that it be a simple, purposeful Supreme Court case, sort of like the Scopes monkey trial or something, where yes, everybody knows what crime is being committed and it's kind of publicity stunt, but we want to see how the legal system work it out. And we're not going to do that. We're not in a cool-headed time like that. And that time wasn't all that great either. So I would say that the thing that's most likely for us to see is that what we're going to see again, try to use already existing laws to prosecute as much as possible, while at the same time ingratiating other groups in. Now, there are going to be a lot of theories as to why he's doing it, but in my opinion, it's going to always be on a case-by-case basis. He sees the current financial institution schema as being good and reputable. Maybe not perfect, but he doesn't have any problem with the idea of like Goldman taking care of like a bank or something for a while, or Lehman taking care of like a bank for a while, even though they've had huge. He doesn't see the problem there, so he's not going to have a problem with new banks coming in. We saw that with Sam Bankman-Fried, that he was like looking to usher him in to like take those same financial rents that some of these other so-called independent groups do, even though they seem to do so with the backing of the U.S. government. So like that's what we're going to see, and it doesn't matter if they're such a decentralized. It's going to be what's close to what they're doing. Like we see it right now with the current feudal order of Facebook, Twitter, and like Robinhood. Like these are very unlikely compatriots, but it doesn't matter because when you strip all that media stuff away, these are guys in rooms and they have X amount of power. So that's my position. That went on too long. Sorry.
No, that was awesome.
Perfect, bro.
That's why we're here for, for the intake and just the learning experience. All right, Mauricio, it's on you.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yes, no problem. What are the potential consequences of government attempts to regulate or ban cryptocurrency, both for the industry and for the individual users?
This is like a U.S. thing or a global thing.
I'm sorry. Can you hold on for a second? Can all the speakers? There we go. We're good. Everybody, be sure to mute their mics.
Yeah, it's really a U.S. thing and a global thing. Ultimately, the SEC doesn't control the entire world. It may influence, but essentially, it could only control what's United States governed. It's difficult to quote unquote police the world when other countries are also invested. Back in the day, China outlawing Bitcoin was a big red flag for me. They always said whatever China outlaws, invest in type thing. And they outlawed Google, Facebook, the whole the biggest controlling social media platforms have overlords like investment. I don't want to say the BlackRocks of the world, but the BlackRocks of the world, Vanguard, they own large pieces of them. They influence governments. But they're also now investing in crypto as well. So ultimately it's the technology that laws are laws. I mean, ultimately wherever you are, you have to follow the law wherever it may be. Can they outlaw it globally? I don't know. I don't really think, not in El Salvador now. So, ultimately, there will be places in safe havens, tax havens, like there are even in some places in America. They could, avoid paying top capital gains if you know what you're doing. There's always places to, there's always going to be, loopholes in the system. Ultimately, you just got to search. If you have the means, you can do it,
Oh, definitely. When there's rules, there's people to break them. Bitcoin Goblin, would you like to do an input?
Yeah, I don't have any more comments actually. I think the points that's been said are on point. And it's getting kind of late here in Norway, so I need to tap out, but I'll happily join another time.
We appreciate you.
Before you tap out, could you tell us about yourself?
Good night.
Goblins, could you tell us about yourself before you tap out?
Yeah, I can give you a short introduction. So we are a 99-piece collection on the Bitcoin blockchain as an Ordinals, and our Genesis collection is a sub 100k collection, and we are actually live for our Genesis holders minting a new free collection called the Scientist, and the public is going to be on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your support on such a short notice. We was in the other space together, and just thank you for the warm receiving, bro. Thank you for your time. Have a good one, and you can count on me to be there because I'm also in the Discords, also like a fanboy.
Can everybody hear?
Yes, everybody can hear.
Yeah.
Can everybody mute their mic so Josh can take the floor?
Oh, is it my turn? All right. I'm actually going to answer this question from the perspective of countries, because I think that speaks to the industry and the individual users as well. The consequences for countries of banning cryptocurrency is going to be that they're going to fall behind. There's a lot of diversity out there in opinion about whether or not cryptocurrency is a good thing or whether or not they should implement it. And I think it does kind of vary a little bit based on the level of control that those countries impose over the people that exist there. But, like India, for example, they're very favorably going to be regulating cryptocurrency. Lots of countries in Southeast Asia, Germany's getting up there, El Salvador, obviously. These are countries that are gonna do well because they're favorably regulating cryptocurrency. The ones that are banning it are going to be the ones that do not offer their citizens the ability to participate in this unstoppable open market and make something of themselves in it. So that I think is the consequence there of whatever dumb luck you have of what country you live in and what the perspective of your leaders are. I think that's going to determine your capability to be able to interact in the greater open free marketplace of cryptocurrency. That's my perspective on that.
Awesome. We're going to have son of a Bitcoin followed by Bitcoin bot take the floor. All right, son of Bitcoin, it's you.
Yeah, I think everybody's made some pretty good points on it. I think depending on what country you're in, like Josh was just saying, it's going to be a big thing because there's a lot of different countries that have completely different takes on this stuff. So it's going to be interesting. I don't really have too much more input to put on the competition side of the CBDCs and crypto. I do think that it's kind of cool to finally see, as crazy as it sounds, to finally see things start to unfold or come to a point, because I feel like a lot of people have been seeing this happen for a long time with the banks and everything. So pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy times we live in, man.
I got you, bro. Bitcoin bots, how you doing?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you perfectly,
all right,
brother.
Finally got it working. What question are we on? Sorry, I was fumbling around trying to get this to work the whole time.
That's no problem. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad Alpha took care of that also.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to repeat it. Okay, no problem. What are the potential consequences of government attempts to regulate or ban cryptocurrency, both for the industry and for individual users?
Okay. Well, I think from the perspective of the U.S., there are probably two factors to consider. And I'm going to speak of this mainly from the point of view of a Bitcoin maximalist, because that's generally what I consider myself as. Bitcoin has already been deemed a commodity, not a security. And it looks like that label is going to stick. So I don't have any concerns about Bitcoin being regulated as a security as such, but there is other concerns, I think, with Bitcoin, and that factor might be environmental. You already have President Biden proposing that ridiculous tax on Bitcoin mining activity. And there's really no telling if in the future the US might decide to outright ban companies from mining Bitcoin. Personally, I don't think this would kill Bitcoin. You can look at when the government banned illegal substances at the time, such as alcohol, or they banned drugs. Generally speaking, whenever the government bans something, usually it has the complete opposite effect. And especially when it comes to things that have a monetary incentive, is the government really going to go door to door and check that you aren't plugging a Bitcoin miner into your outlet? Even if they did, they don't really have the ability to control those miners from going outside the US. If I wanted to, I could pick up an S19J, go move to another country, even if they did knock door to door. So I think there's also plenty of countries that will happily take Bitcoin miners and the business they bring. And this is also a really, really slippery slope to be policing, people's energy usage. So that's the only factor that I think might be something you'd have to consider. But yeah, I don't think that the government is going to have the capability to ban Bitcoin or crypto as a whole, because the cat's out of the bag now. It's the Pandora's box has already been opened. It might have a short-term effect on the price, but I have no doubt it would eventually recover.
I find it interesting that you mentioned that, because it's like they want to police mining, but then at the same time they don't want to answer the hard question of how much is the legacy system costing? How much is Swift costing? So I'm really happy that you brought that up also, because it is not going to be any straightforward regulation, because they have to, it's going to be side picking, and they're not on Bitcoin side. So I found thank you for bringing that up.
Hey guys, I don't mean to interrupt. I might have to step down. It's my kids going crazy in the background. But
completely.
Thanks for having me up. It's cool to see a lot of ordinal projects up here. I'm trying to figure out and study a bit more as Bitcoin's pumping and stuff. I want to just kind of figure this stuff out. I'm going to be inscribing some galactic cats. So I'm going to try to join some of you guys' Discords too. So yeah, thanks for having me up. Yeah, and I'll see you guys around.
Awesome. One love.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Shout out to the fathers out there. I have 3. I know.
Yeah, I got 3 little ones, all under 3 at home. So it's pretty hectic some nights.
Little baby galactic cats.
All right. If we covered that question with everyone, I believe. All right. So I'm going to go on to the next question.
I feel like the IQ average in this room is pretty high.
Oh, definitely is. Definitely is.
Real, man. It's crazy because
it's not a feeling. It's not a feeling, and that's the only reason I ask that we mute ourselves and everything, because Twitter Spaces can have a lot of you can get a lot of stuff out of Twitter Space and everything. So I'm trying to set us apart by it's the Cardano thing to do. I don't know any other way to say it. We take a different approach to things, and I just want to hit this from a different approach. All right, I'm gonna hit the next question off. Okay, in countries, and this is going to be a fun one. In countries with unstable currencies or limited financial infrastructure, how can cryptocurrency be used to promote financial inclusion and economic development while still ensuring stability and security? It's a 2-gauge question, so if you need me to ask you one part again, I will be happy to split it into 2. Kurt, it's on you.
Hey, this is actually a really great question, because the thing that does this right now, supposedly, it does this very badly. I think Josh was talking about incompetence. Yeah, it doesn't matter what we think about anything that any humans do. Incompetence is going to be 99% of the time what happens. It's just the way it is. It's amazing that we get 1%. It's amazing we strike fire. It's ridiculous. So, but what goes on is NGOs do this, and the NGO stands for a non-government organization. So the UN is the biggest NGO, but there's a lot of them out there, and a lot of them do exactly this. They're dedicated to dealing with the unbanked, which is funny, right? You'd think they'd be all about crypto, but the propaganda against crypto is so strong that if they touch it, they'll lose their funding, so they don't even look into it. like it's very, very odd. And this is not a U.S. thing. This is a global thing, unfortunately. It is a U.S. thing because the U.S. unfortunately is also a global thing. Not unfortunately forever, but maybe for the moment it's a thing. I had a good friend ask me once, like in 2020, is the economy in the shitter? And I was like, it is, in the sense that the shitter and the shower are connected. We're undergoing this flush, and if I'll just give my general opinion here, is like in 2008 we uncovered the disastrous mortgage-backed security flaw, which was essentially that if you give people a chance to kind of cheat on their golf score, they do. So when they could make synthetic assets, because it didn't be bad anything, it was, and this will always happen. Like, that's like, I hate to say it, I don't want it to be true, but for right now, if we assume it's not true, that's just silly. That's just bad policy. The unfortunate thing that we learned about the mortgage-backed security was not, oh no, that one system was rotten. It was in fact that a lot of our assumptions go bad very fast, and we have no system to protect ourselves against that. In my opinion, the thing that is the most like the mortgage-backed security with the highest amount of damage ratio that no one sees coming is the futures market. I love playing the futures market, but I love roulette too. That's just gambling, folks. The futures market was developed to deal with the fact that farmers needed to make money all year round and not just when their harvest came in. And we have really milked that puppy to make this giant global slush fund so we could have a ruling class experience that nobody needed. This is coming to an end. I don't know what it's going to look like, but in my history books, it never goes well. That's when Bitcoin will replace it. Some good mountain batten doing it. It'll be a thing. But I hope not. I hope I'm wrong.
Awesome. Bitcoin bot, it is on you.
Hey there. All right, I'm going to keep this one pretty brief. So I think in countries that have unstable currencies or they have limited financial infrastructure, you're talking about countries that either A, they experience massive hyperinflation. You can think about Venezuela, for example, and certain African countries, or B, they're probably tethered to the dollar in order to provide more currency stability. Think like El Salvador. So there's a couple of drawbacks to being tethered to the dollar. These countries are usually at the whim of the Fed and economic policy in the US. These countries can be most impacted by the inflation of the dollar, even though they don't use their own currency, they're reliant on the dollar. And the problem is they sit furthest from the money printer. So when the money printer goes burr back in the States, those closest are going to get rich first, and then that money kind of trickles down to the third world countries or other countries that are using the dollar. So when you think about this is a really messed up system, and either A, you're experiencing hyperinflation, or you're experiencing hyperinflation or inflation through using the dollar. So Bitcoin promises to bridge that gap by creating a unified global store of value, unit of account, and medium of exchange. By allowing all countries in the world an equal footing and equal access to the world reserve currency of the future, anyone can opt in and build on the ecosystem, on the Bitcoin ecosystem. And that's in contrast to the current petrodollar system, where really only the US, certain allies of the US, and users that use the SWIFT monetary dollar monetary rails can benefit from that system. But those outside this certain ecosystem, they lose out. Think about Russia or certain other countries outside of the United States, outside of the first world. So when the entire world can build on the same economic system, the same monetary standard, I believe it's going to allow for more equal society and much more robust economic development. Just imagine a world where everyone can send or receive money on Bitcoin and Lightning rails in an instant. And that's a world that I'd want to be a part of.
It seems like we're leaning more towards that world the more the government continues to be the government. Don't you think?
Yeah.
All right, Mauricio, it is on you.
I definitely agree with Bitcoin Bot and Kirk. I think a good example was that Ray Dalio, I forgot what the name of it was, not Principles, but it was basically the history of the superpowers and history from the old reserve currencies. Essentially, they just printed it to holy hell, hyperinflation. Same thing that happened in Venezuela, Zimbabwe. You basically devalue your currency so much that you're basically carrying a wagon full of singles that don't mean anything. Can't even buy a piece of bread. But it's definitely the dollar is basically pegged to the petrodollar and secured by the U.S. government, really the military. And then the BRICS are going to be, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and whoever else is going to join are going to essentially try to create a new world reserve currency that trades against the dollar. So that's really the biggest thing, because if you're not America, if you're not an American ally, you're basically fucked in the dollar system. That's the way they're looking at it. So essentially, it could lead to World War III.
It seems like no matter how you slice the pie, cryptocurrency or in the form of Bitcoin and others would still be in the equation. If the BRICS can't decide on what their currency is going to be, we have 5+ countries growing a list, trying to get along. Bitcoin can very well pose as that.
It'll be a hedge. It's a global hedge against all other currencies, basically, at this point, especially with the banking crisis happening right now. This is Bitcoin's golden moment. Like, we're going to see if it's actually a store of value. It's going to play out in the next few weeks.
Seems like it's playing out now within a 2-week, 27K difference. Josh, before you answer the question, can you please introduce yourself? I see a new PFP there, and I would love to hear about that also.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a Cardano-based content creator. I create NFT, DeFi content generally of what's happening in the Cardano space. Not because I don't consider myself in any way a Cardano maxi. It's just that I'm passionate about cryptocurrency. I'm passionate about liberating humanity and giving people the tools that they've never had before. I just find it easier to move along that mission by focusing on one ecosystem and the mission and goals of that ecosystem. So that's the only reason that I focus on Cardano, is because it's more about productivity, and when you're paying attention to everything, you can't pay attention to anything. So that's all that is. But as far as my answer to this question, it's pretty simple, I think. As far as stability goes, you can't really beat the stability you can't make it any worse than what it's been for a lot of these countries that haven't had this infrastructure before. They've never had financial tools to be able to sustainably interact on a global perspective economically. Even in El Salvador, with the crypto bear market, they've still experienced a net positive by adopting Bitcoin as a fiat currency for them, because they're not getting robbed anymore by remittance fees of people sending the US dollar into El Salvador. Now people can send Bitcoin in there without having to have half of what they're sending being robbed. So, I'd say that the stability portion of it there is ultimately a net positive wherever it gets implemented, simply because they've been screwed every which way because of the systems that have existed before it. As far as security goes, I think that's one of the things that I respect most about both Bitcoin and Cardano. Have it built right, just establish a system that works, that is secure, and then implement it. So I think that's the way to go about it, but it's a continuously developing industry. You add upgrades and you develop as it goes to make things more secure for people so that they can trust it. So I think building those things and offering them available to anybody with internet access, I think that's how inclusion happens. It's just a matter of time.
Josh, thank you for mentioning remittance, because that is a billion-dollar industry that is slowly just transferring the wealth, typically out of third world countries, and Bitcoin kind of doing what Bitcoin does, is what created is to do, is kind of take the middleman out. So thank you for bringing that up. That should be all of us on this one. So we're going to get more into a lighter note question that's really exciting. My personal favorite. Co-host, are you there?
Yes, I am. What's good, man?
All right. After the I'm gonna let you start this one off, and then we're going to order. You can mute yourself. How might NFTs change the way we think about intellectual property rights, ownership, and distribution in the digital age?
So for me, an NFT can do many different things. I personally, I think it can do a lot for, say, things are counterfeit. Say you have a brand like Gucci or something like that, or you make something that's, that's a certain brand. You can check the blockchain, make sure it's legitimate. I think that, obviously it shows ownership, and it's just a, it's sorry. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm lost for thoughts right now, but yeah, it's just a transparent ledger, essentially, so I don't really have too much to say on that.
Just say daddy, and that's awesome, bro. I gotcha. Bitcoin bot center.
Hey, how's it going? Well, this one I'll keep pretty brief too. I think if you think about how the world has always placed value on different items, it's because you could say you own it, right? I own this piece of art, the Mona Lisa. I own this dollar because it's in my wallet, my physical wallet. I own these clothes because I wear them. And the world places value on things that they find that other, valuable, that other things that people may want to acquire. So with the advent of the digital age, we had an issue, and that was you couldn't place ownership on anything digital. Why? Because you can control C, control V, anything. Remember when Napster came out? I remember when I was a kid when that happened, and I was copying music, and then torrents came out, and you can just download whatever movie you want. There was no way to put an ownership signal on any file, just because you can copy and paste it so easily. So with the advent of blockchain technology, recently, we finally had the ability to say, okay, here it is, time-stamped on this block, this hash that proves that this person owns this, and with Bitcoin, this ordinal, because this Satoshi is inscribed with this piece of art that was inscribed on block, 700 something thousand, whatever block that we're on right now. And now you can trade it at the speed of light. I said this on the last Twitter space we had, but I think it's kind of like having caveman paintings that now, they're going to be so valuable in the future because these ordinals are ordered, and they were the first inscriptions placed on Bitcoin. And in the future, they're going to be able to be traded instantly. There's going to be tremendous value placed on these artworks, on these NFTs on Bitcoin. So I think that blockchain technology really allowed people to place that digital signature on something. And it allows us to say this is a unique piece of artwork, media, music, movie, file, whatever, code that we can now trade and ascribe ownership to. And I think that's going to have a huge effect on the NFT market, especially with Ordinals and Bitcoin as we move forward. I think we just crossed 500K inscriptions too, so we're getting up there pretty quickly.
I think that's crazy quickly. We're talking about less than, what is that, under 2 to 3 months? It's kind of mind-boggling.
I did some math, and I think it's going to be, we're supposed to reach like 4 million within like a year, but that was based off of like the first couple of weeks when Ordinals first came out. So who knows how fast it's going to be now. I haven't updated my calculations, but I think it's going to be faster.
I'm glad it's a bear market. Got to take advantage of it. Mauricio, on you.
Honestly, I look at NFTs. I'm outside, guys. My doggy came up to me. I look at NFTs as just a verifiable receipt. You buy a ticket for a movie, you buy a ticket to a sporting event. I've been collecting art for about 4 or 5 years. I have a couple of higher end prints or lithographs. I have a Basquiat. I have some Keith Haring ones. I have to go by what the art dealer told me, not a verifiable ledger telling me this is a legitimate copy of this art piece. Also, like sports cards. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day. You get the little hologram, numbered, graded. It's essentially that for everything. So, the NFT, real world application can be used for anything. It's just a digital receipt that's, verifiable.
Gotcha. On you, Josh.
I think the industry of NFTs is transformational for a lot of different industries, like the video game industry for one. We've never actually been able to own the digital assets that we spend so many hours trying to accumulate for no freaking reason, only to eventually, get our account banned, whether it be for inactivity or wrongfully accused of cheating, or some fool just reporting you because they got pissed off about how things went down in game. So it's like people have spent hours and spent thousands of dollars accumulating in-game assets that they don't actually own, whether it be in CS:GO or League of Legends or any of the big classic games that have come up and enabled that ability to sort of earn those things. And I think that's huge. I think it's transformational for the music industry too, because musicians, the whole system has been set up in a way where musicians get screwed and they don't actually own their music in the way that they should. And I think it's transformational to be able to represent that ownership in the form of NFTs. And I think that could change the way that things go down for music artists, the way that artists develop. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of real world examples about how general ownership displays itself that is emulated in NFTs, but I think it changes the game for a lot of different areas.
Josh, I like to make this joke to myself that I probably would have been $100,000 richer if NFTs were there when I started my Steam account that accumulated 12,000 hours. So I definitely feel you on the gaming aspect, and I definitely feel it's necessary because we invest, some of us, I'm a gamer, we invest a lot of our time into gaming and everything, and we have to, it would be nice to receive something from that because those hours add up. I think I did the math and I was like, hold up, if I put this in time, I did a year of gaming, like a year straight of gaming with those hours and everything. I could have that's a whole year right there and everything. But now with NFTs and everything, or at least the future, you're going to have some 10-year-old, 12-year-old playing a blockchain game, stacking up 12,000 hours eventually. But that $12,000 is going to translate, or has the potential to translate to something with real world value. And we've seen that before on the Ethereum blockchain. I forgot the name of the game that they came out with. I can't recall it now. I know all you guys know it. Could somebody throw the name out there? Ethereum goat game had a big hack.
The little goblins. I saw that.
I forgot the name of it, but it's an old school game. It's like one of the biggest Ethereum games and everything. It came out. I don't know, but the kids.
You talking about Axie Infinity?
Thank you, Axie. The Axie story.
Yeah.
You know, you had these kids in Thailand being the first to market playing these video games, and at one point they were making more money than the highest earners in their country. That's mind-boggling. You know, so
I bet the other thing I really liked that Josh said was the music labels and the music distributor. Like I used to run a music label, and we got always shit end of the stick on the commissions. It was like 40%, man. You're paying 60% fees. It's insane.
The potential of NFTs to also affect the music industry. Seems like NFTs have the potential to do exactly what blockchain technology was made to do, and that's cut out the middleman. Very interesting. All right, guys, the time is 7 o'clock. I am a firm believer of time is money, and I don't judge anybody how they spend their time. So I can end this one with the last question. If you would like to gracefully bow out during this, I thank you all for the support and coming to my first ever Twitter space, the 4-2 Thesis. One thing about the 4-2 Thesis, this is going to be the first episode, is it's a play on two things. The 4-2 is the 4.2% of the global population that deals with cryptocurrency, which roughly translate to 420 million. 420, interesting. 420 million people. And the thesis is obviously a play on Martin Luther reforms. And with the times that we are going through right now, we have Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi controlling our voices, with the state of politicians in general controlling our voices and everything. So I am glad for you guys to be here to knock out some of these theses and everything, and let the people actually have a voice, because Kevin O'Leary going on Congress defending cryptocurrency is really laughable and a smack in the face. And we have actors on there, going for Oscar roles, bashing Bitcoin while simultaneously promoting Bitcoin books also. So thank you guys for your input from the bottom of my heart. And that's the 4 Theses in a nutshell. With this last question, I'm gonna get it out, and then we could take it from there. I think it's important that the listeners hear this. All right. How will cryptocurrency impact traditional financial institutions, and how can they adapt to this new paradigm? Bitcoin bots is on you. Bots, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Oh, no problem. Just making sure you're here, brother. How will cryptocurrency impact traditional financial institutions, and how can they adapt to this new change?
Well, I think cryptocurrency and Bitcoin specifically, it's already, I think, affecting traditional financial institutions. Just look at the current economic environment we're in right now. You have the collapse of SVB, Signature Bank, First Republic Bank, and then I think just today we had news that Credit Suisse was bought out by UBS as well. So I almost feel like we're going through the same financial mess that we went through a couple decades ago during 2008, when all these banks started crashing, when all the bailouts started happening, and then you had the split, the dichotomy. You had the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, because all those bailouts went to those bankers and lined their pockets, while the rest of us got kind of screwed over. But during 2008, I'm sure, as you all know, we had the advent of a solution. Satoshi Nakamoto invented Bitcoin during that time, and it was still in its infancy then. It was didn't even have a trade value. But through the last couple of decades, we've seen Bitcoin kind of grow, and it's grown during this economic environment when we've always been in a bull market. So everyone kind of always wondered, well, what happens when the next economic crisis happens? Well, it's happening right now, right in front of us. And you can see that while all this chaos is spreading in the traditional financial system, just look at the price of Bitcoin. Now, I know it's only been a couple of days, maybe a week or two, and Bitcoin could easily correct from here. But I think it's a telltale sign that when the traditional financial system is experiencing chaos, people are going to flee out of that system into something else. And that is the solution that Nakamoto invented, 13, 14, 15 years ago. And that's Bitcoin. And you can see Bitcoin is starting to gain adoption. It's a hedge against the traditional financial economic system. And it's starting to become that black hole that all the Bitcoin maxis always talk about. It's sucking liquidity out of everything else around it. It's everything divided by 21 million. That's the end goal of Bitcoin. And I think that we're headed there. And I think the current situation in the markets today, it's going to only accelerate that.
Bitcoin bot, I don't believe your PFP give you enough credit. You are really a Bitcoin bot, and I love it. Mauricio, next.
I agree with everything he said. Ultimately, we're going to see how things roll out. Banks do have a place in society, but when your net worth or business reserves just get wiped out, they're not secure, that's a problem. I mean, if you're a business, you have employees, you have to, you got to pay for your office or a mortgage for the building. Then one day you wake up and your bank goes under. That's not really because they made horrible decisions on your behalf with your money. That's not really right for the depositors. We're going to see how this plays out this week. It's going to be interesting, man. I think all real crypto assets are going to pump. I mean, not financial advice, not financial advisor, but I mean, I'm just staying the course. This was why Satoshi invented it, peer-to-peer cash system, but ultimately it turned into a store of value. It's basically digital gold. You could go anywhere in the world with. At this point, banks are just, I don't know, man. It's they just keep printing money. I don't see they're just gonna keep printing money. I don't really see a way out of this.
It's kind of topsy-turvy that you have an industry that continue to print money for institutions that aren't.
Yeah, they're lenders. Like they're lending your money out and making money off of your money. It's like,
it just makes the concept of a bank run sound really weird. All right, Josh, on you.
Yeah, like I've said before, I think that crypto is a boulder rolling down the market. It can't be stopped at this point. I think that what's going to happen is what's going to happen, and anybody that tries to resist it is, there might be some short-term resistance. There might be some entities that try to push it away, but I don't think it can be beat at this time. I think it's going to go where it's going to go, and they can either integrate it or they can fall behind. Practically speaking, I think central banks will eventually adopt Bitcoin as a reserve currency that they can hold as something to back the value of currencies that they will inevitably continue try to roll out and control. Some things just don't ever change, but I think that the way that the future of finance looks, I think that is looking at some pretty powerful changes in the near future.
I totally agree. Alpha Ordinal, I believe you're the only one who hasn't introduced yourself before we end the 4-2 thesis. Can you give a brief introduction of yourself and who you are?
Yeah, no problem. I'm a Cardano enthusiast originally, who found interest in Bitcoin Ordinals because of the similar values of decentralization, and basically I just thought that I love it because it reminded me of the Wild West of Cardano in the early days where technology had to catch up. And the speed they're building, I've never ever seen anything like it. Just from no wallet, no marketplace to, having all those things within a week. I swear, I think it's maybe a month and a half old or something. It's just, we're so early, it's crazy. And so Bitcoin and Cardano, I think they have more things in common than people think rather than differences. And if we can embrace that, because it's if we can embrace that, I mean, we can just absolutely build something, you know, in the, you know, we can build something. We can choose how it plays out. Like, we're the authors of this story. So, but yeah, and I really appreciate all you guys coming out too, man. My co-founder of Alpha Ords, he's definitely like the more eloquent speaker. So I love to kind of let him just do his thing, you know, but I just sit in the background, handle things. But yeah, man, thank you guys.
Hey, do you guys mind if I just do a quick plug for my project as well? I don't think I got him.
Of course.
Mention it.
Of course.
Yeah,
Speak
so
your
thank
piece.
you. I'll be 10 seconds. So yeah, on Bitcoin bots, like I said, I'm a Bitcoin maxing mostly. I got into Ordinals because I started to think that they were pretty cool. It's cool to get some images and NFTs on Bitcoin, and I think it expands its use case. Most importantly, I think it's a gateway drug for more people to get into Bitcoin and understand the thesis and why Bitcoin is so important. And I'm all for that. I'm all for onboarding more people onto the blockchain, onto Bitcoin. And yeah, if you guys want to check out our project, it's Bitcoin bots. It's 100 bots that were inscribed sub 50K. We also have a second project, 1,000 retro pixel art style bots that were inscribed sub 250K. So check me out on Twitter and Discord. You can find it on my Twitter page. Thanks, guys.
Love your bots, man. I love the art on them. I actually bid on one not too long ago.
Yeah, you didn't win.
No, I see
I'll have more. Yeah, we actually have our mint coming up for the retro bots. Actually should be after today. So mint price is going to be pretty cheap. Just want to get them out to as many people as possible.
Dope.
Alpha, you also have a mint coming up, correct?
Yes. So March 25th is going to be the first wave of our mint, so we're like an alpha group, and we want to have a community that's filled with people with different strengths and different disciplines in the community. Like, if you're good at DeFi, you're good at stocks, you know this, you know that, maybe you're a dev. Like, we want that, and we want to reward you for sharing it with your community members in this, you know, within this alpha group. Like, many of us are very familiar with different blockchains. There might be great plays on that. So we want to build that kind of community. We're gonna have our first wave of alpha ords released, which will probably be about 100 of them, is what I'm thinking. And yeah, man, we have two. We actually still have some whitelist spots available for the Alpha Omega role, the beginning and the end, and that's going to give you 2 airdrops, discounted price, you know, and many more things, because we like to have raffles, we like to give away stuff. I like to just have fun. My big thing is I like a lively community. So as more and more people come into this space, I just see so much huge growth potential, and I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. I'm here for everything, and I love it. I love to be a part of the story of the growth of Ordinals on Bitcoin.
Awesome. So to conclude the 4-2 thesis, thank all you guys for being here, for coming also, and to end it with the words of Kanye West: "You don't have the answers, Sway."
Bro, that's